Hello and welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a chance to fully digest all the build content. No, me neither. Okay, we'll get there though. We will get there. Okay, a couple of things from the last week. The first of this is actually from the week before. I think it missed the... I just kind of missed it in all the build stuff. I don't think we talked about it. Apologies in advance if we did. Kind of starting to forget what's going on. So this is agent mode, which has arrived in preview for Visual Studio. So this is kind of interesting. It's worth a read if you use Visual Studio. This is big Visual Studio. And this is kind of interesting if you are already using Copilot, if you're already chatting with agents to get your coding work done. I think you might really like this. I think I might really like it. I'm going to try and kind of embed this into my flow. At the moment, I do a lot of chatting with AI, obviously, to get my coding done. And I obviously use, GitHub Copilot as well. But I think this is a slightly different way of doing it. It's a bit more hands-off. This is giving more access to your code rather than it kind of just telling you should do these things and allowing you to do them. And reply. This will actually do a lot of this stuff for you. It's a bit more automatic, a bit more automated, a bit more agentic, if you will. So this might be worth a try. If you're a lean-in sort of person, I think I would give this a go and just see what it does. This is, giving the car keys to the intern. It really is. This is what this is. But I think we might be at that point. I think we're going to see. This could be the difference, in the same way that GitHub Copilot was a really big game changer for how we write code. I think this could be the next big one of those where, if I think about the work I do, I'm in and out of lots of different projects making changes. I would kind of really like to have an agent for each of those and be masterminding those changes, but not necessarily making all of them. And I think that is what the promise of this is. And so I am quite interested for this. And interested to see if it can help because, it could really kind of supercharge some of the stuff I'm doing at the moment. So really interested for this. So this is absolutely worth a look, I think. All right. Kind of on the same kind of thing in that it's still agentic. Agentic DevOps. This is another big area, I think, where we will look back and wonder why we ever spent the time. I wonder this. I have this confliction at the moment with DevOps. I love it. I think it's really powerful. I hate the amount of time it takes to babysit and look after, and it feels like a massive time sink. And sometimes I wonder if that's worth the investment. Actually, I think this agentic DevOps stuff is here to save the day for me, because it sounds like if the marketing is true, then this agentic DevOps will take on a lot of that heavy lifting, and I really hope that's true. I think there's a lot of busy work in CI/CD pipelines, and I don't like that. And so anything that can reduce that busy work, I'm all for. And so I'm really interested in this as well. I mean, between this and the last thing we talked about, I'm not going to have anything left to do, which would be amazing because it means I could actually get to the to-do list of things I want to do, which I'm quite excited about, and stuff for this channel and things I want to dig into, around A2A and all this kind of stuff. That sounds really good. So, definitely going to be looking at both of these and keeping an eye on them. And I would really recommend you do too. Don't let this stuff pass you by, because otherwise you kind of might wake up, in a couple of months' time and wonder why the work is so quiet. All right. Something else to talk about and something else to think about. Azure AD applications or Microsoft Entra applications. They're the backbone, if you like, of a lot of the stuff we do, that kind of construct of registering applications, giving them permissions and so forth. And this is a blog post from Office 365 reports. And it's really about using PowerShell to track activities and operations that happen with those applications. And this is an area I tend not to look into, and I think developers tend not to look into that much. But it is valuable. It's worth doing. From the IT admin side of things, it's good for compliance and security to understand what's going on there and track those changes that happen in applications over time. But I'm coming at it more from the developer side, where any information is valuable information when you're trying to debug a problem. So if you're trying to break open that black box, especially around security and authentication, then having more access into the kind of what's going on in your applications, I think is really useful. This is another area in which you can do that. around seeing the activities that happen inside those Entra applications. So this is a good blog post about using PowerShell to do that. And you can track the different applications that happen to your Entra applications. The different operations that happen to your Entra applications. So this is really cool. This is just it's one of those things to bookmark and have in the tool bag, I think, for when you need it. So it tells you how to go through it, how to set it up, and then you can see all these different things. So you can see the things that are happening, and that can be really useful in troubleshooting. You can see all the consents, you can see any updates. So just one to bear in mind, because I think, this stuff does come up from time to time, and it's useful to know, and it's useful to have kind of in the bag, ready to go. All right, and finally, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just talking about the Microsoft 365 Copilot Dashboard. Now, this also comes up a lot in conversations, but with different groups of people, around tracking the adoption and usage of Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's going out everywhere. People are turning it on. People are not turning it on universally. They're turning it on group by group, department by department, use case by use case. And that means that they need to justify those things. They need to justify the ROI. And so how do you do that with Copilot? How do you know if it's being used, and how do you know how effectively it's being used, and what do you do about that? Well, if you've got a Viva Insights license, then you can use this Copilot dashboard to do that. So there's a good blog post about doing that. So there's a bit at the top with a use case about why you do this. And so it's a tool in the Viva Insights product that lets you kind of see this stuff. Now let's just get down to it. It's a 28-day view, and it's got some readiness tracking. And then this is the bit I was kind of interested in. It's got adoption insights. So it's got adoption by group, and the impact analysis is interesting as well. So you can kind of see they use kind of Copilot actions taken, and they use Copilot assisted hours as well. So hopefully using those two things, you can kind of get a feel for, is this worth this person or this group of people having the Copilot license? Are they making the most use of Copilot? You can also take the insights from the pulse surveys around the Copilot impact to kind of see if people enjoy using Copilot, which is the other big thing as well. So this is much more about tracking usage and the ROI side of things rather than the sort of technical, but it's a massive question that comes up time and time again. So before you go and write your own using the APIs, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago actually, about the usage APIs, which you absolutely could do. I'm just here to remind you that this thing does exist. You do need Viva Insights to do it, which feels slightly strange. I kind of wonder if that's a stepping stone thing at the moment. Like I would like, if I'm paying for Copilot licenses, I would like to be able to see this dashboard to know that my Copilot licenses are being used effectively without necessarily having a Viva Insights license as well. But on the flip side, most kind of medium to big enterprises that have a bunch of Copilot licenses and care about this stuff and care about tracking the ROI in this way, they probably have a Viva Insights license lying around somewhere. So I don't think it's a massive blocker. It's just a slightly odd, it's just a kind of a bit of a weirdness in the story that I think could be rectified by just wrapping it all up into a big Copilot license. All right, I think that's everything from me for this week. This week's going to be a busy one, and we are rolling into conference season quite hard. We had European Collab Summit last week, or this week, I can't really remember. Last week, I think. And we're looking at Commsverse towards the end of the month, and then there's a bunch of others in between and after. And before you know it, we'll be in the summer doldrums. So lots going on. Take care, whatever it is you're doing. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you next time.